There we go, guys. It's been a minute. Our hiatus that was supposed to last 2 weeks ended up lasting a month. But we're back tonight, guys, and it's the three amigos. We got the three C's: Cody, Colin, and Corey. And I only
Yeah,
went with Corey because his last name is Z. So, anyways,
that's normal. Normal for me.
so we're gonna do what have we been up to the last couple weeks? What have you been up to, Colin?
Just working 7 days
Well,
a
you were
week.
telling me the other day you were working with the Young Republicans.
Uh, yeah, no, I actually did have some inroads. I made some inroads with the local Young Republican group. It's like 30 guys, which is like I've been praying for that, like to find something like young guys in their 20s, a couple in their 30s. It's like thank you, Lord. And they were raised by the internet, so they're not like totally. I mean, they're a little. It's funny. They're a little. I have not encountered the Gen Zs yet and what the internet has done to their minds, and it's very interesting to talk to them. It's like, wow, you guys are very different types of people, but they are a lot more open to like thinking things through a little bit more deeply, little bit more. Well, that's not true. A lot more than the millennials and the Gen Xers and certainly the boomers. God bless them. But
Boomers are the ones that drive me crazy, dude. It's just like, go, you're done, man. Retire, be done.
yeah, all the kid they're gonna say that about every single one of us, before this is over. So when our time's that time,
Yeah.
it's
So
just
we were.
it's good to remember to not be that guy, not be that generation when it comes time to pass on.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. We're
Yeah,
just gonna be. We'll probably get to that point where we're like, I'm grumpy, tired, and I'm just gonna do what I want.
yeah, and I hate my kids, and I'm gonna keep all my stuff and be buried with it.
Well, you get to a point where actually, when you get past like 65, I would say they get kind of like they just don't care anymore
We
because a life sentence isn't looking like a long time anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll just listen to whoever Glenn Beck is at the time, and just let trannies take over the country or whatever their version of trannies is. We'll just let that happen.
Wouldn't it be funny if they say let trannies take over the country and it ends up to be Eaton Fuller that does it?
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
You are?
Yeah, just can you come a little closer? I think is a mic. Oh no, that's right. It doesn't work. Never mind. It's fine.
See, is that better?
Yeah,
No, Eaton Fuller, the companies that make transmissions. So,
yeah. No, that's what I mean. Yeah, we're
yeah,
just
the transmission
just
company takes over.
yeah.
But anyways, it's a trucker
Those
joke. I
tricky
said it.
transmissions, always getting stuck in things they shouldn't be.
Be
Anyway,
stuck in first gear the whole time.
Well, we were supposed to get together 2 weeks ago and do a podcast, but me and Corey were actually hanging out with each other.
Yeah, I was down in his territory with my son. My daughter's going to school, freshman, and so got to hang out with Cody and this guy from the Cody Guns and Gear or whatever it's called.
CW Guns and Gear. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, hang out with that guy. There's a lot of guns that I have never seen before.
I'm telling you,
Some
dude,
hand cannons.
that guy probably has. There has to be over $100,000 worth of firearms in that house.
Probably. It was fun. Yeah. My son
And that,
got to hold a bunch of them and like check them out.
your son is the most like low key kid I've ever met in my life. Like, it's hard to get a read off of that guy. Must be the mother, because me and you are like,
I've noticed a lot of young kids are like that. They kind of just sit back and watch. They're like, they watch us like it's a show. They're like, I don't know what's going on here.
these people are nuts.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
then, so then I was gone. I've been busy every weekend this month. It's been nuts, and this next weekend is going to be crazy too. I went up to Whittington was gone for 2 weekends up at the Whittington Center. That was cool. Met some famous in the shooting community, really famous guys. And the one that impressed me the most was Jerry Mecklick or whatever. He's that guy that has the world champion shooter thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was just. Here, let's see if we can get a quick thing of him. Um, let's go.
Can't find it?
No, I gotta switch accounts.
Oh, okay.
Go like this. Let's go over here. Yeah, but he was just like the most humble person I've ever met. So you got like certain people in certain environments. They're like the gurus. They're just super famous, got people, and he's definitely famous. He's been around for 50 years of shooting, and let me see. I can show you a picture of him, me and him together. Let's go like this. Um,
Well, how
but
famous is he? Did he shoot himself?
no, he's not our kind of famous, Corey.
Okay, so yeah, he's not that famous. Yeah.
Yeah, can you see him right here?
Mm,
That's
yeah, I can see him.
that's Jerry Micklick. Me and him hanging out at the shooting range. So I was blown away. He was just the
Yeah,
nicest guy, really, really quiet, humble, totally approachable. You can ask him any
yeah.
question, and he just like cool. And it was very, very cool. Here's some shooting real quick. This is pretty cool.
So he's kind of the total opposite of you.
Let's not clutter this with facts, okay? Yeah, yeah. There, we watched him shoot, but
Nice, nice.
so, well, we're not here to talk about that stuff. The what we're here for, Corey. I mean, Colin. We got you. We got you on your. We ended last episode with the talking about our theories on
JF.
JFK. Yes.
Yeah, and this one hopefully will be a bit more coherent. So sorry about that. But I got visual aids this time. And I got a storyline. I got timelines, dates, this will
Yeah.
help. But it'd be interesting to see what you guys think of it. I do not expect to get through all of this, and feel free to interrupt. This is about enjoy this. I'm not like on a mission to get the end result of this is going to be, I was just telling you earlier, it's like literally 1,000 slides to bring the whole thing together. And even it's really like, this is one of those stories that it's a touchstone that spins off into hundreds of different directions and timelines and things that are very real and very much interesting. Most people, there's something that happened in our country back in the 60s. A certain president was shot, and it's been like a
Reagan?
cloud has
Is it
descended.
Reagan?
No, sorry, the other one, young guy,
Wilson.
other guy, and it was. Well, why do you think we've never gotten over the JFK assassination? Why do you think that's just kind of always in the background? It's like
JFK.
it's an uncomfortable thing that it just sits there, and you're literally taught in school that the official story doesn't make sense anymore. I've never met anyone in my entire life that believes the actual story. I've seen
Of
them on the
JFK?
internet that claim they do. The Congress people all claim they believe the Warren report, or they never refute it.
I don't think the Warren Commission believed their own report.
Of course not. Like, Alan Dulles helped run it.
You guys keep talking. I need some water. My throat's drying out. I'll be right back.
Anyway,
Okay.
so let me get this pulled up here.
My bad. Sorry. My throat started. Whoa. That's not good.
Nope.
I didn't realize they could hit that easy.
But you do have a slide presentation.
I've got 55 slides here.
Oh my goodness.
Dude,
Yeah.
Make sure you turn it off and on from time to time.
I mean, yeah, if you want. I mean, it's not. I know it takes up the whole screen, but yeah, whenever someone interjects, I'll pull it down. Okay.
Yeah, let's get going here, boss.
All right. Okay, so I just wanted in the subtitle I put this is inspired by Daniel List and Joseph P. Farrell. They're two guys I really, really admire and like in this work. He has a channel called Dark Journalist. He's been doing this for about 15, 20 years.
Dark
Farrell,
Journalist is awesome.
yeah. And Farrell is a Oxford grad scholar. He's written a ton of books that are insane and really good. He's taught me how to think more clearly, I think, than many other people or any other teacher that I've ever ran into, besides a couple. So just want to give a shout out to those guys. And then obviously all the researchers and whistleblowers that have brought this information forward. This has been taking place over a span of decades. So it's not one person that has done this work. It's been thousands and thousands of people that have been putting this. It's like a brain trust that's come together. So, okay. Starting off. All right. So I want to set the tone by throwing this out there. So, Cody, you said you're about to take a little trip down there, and that you've actually been there.
Yep.
Do you recognize that photo of Jesse Marcel in General
Yes,
Reedy? Would you like
he was there.
Shoot, hang on. Would you like to
Broke it.
talk about that a little?
That's the picture that they put out in the Roswell newspaper and in the Albuquerque Times of them holding up supposedly a. Well, see what in on July was it 14th, 13th or 14th, 1947. They Roswell. There was an incident at Roswell and they crashed. I personally think something crashed there. I think it was a saucer. I've been to the crash site out by Corona, New Mexico. And there's two hits. One's a scar in the earth, and one's a plant where it literally landed in there. And then what was it? I forget the name of the. I'm paraphrasing. Don't remember all the names. But they went back to the bar in Corona. They're all sitting around BSing, and he brought some material in, and he takes that piece of this crash he found, and he went to the closest military base, which at the time was in Roswell, New Mexico. And they have another picture there that shows the actual material, but they didn't publish that when they took that picture of the weather balloon. They said crashed instead. That was their explanation in Roswell, that a weather balloon crashed out by Corona. Even though there's no wind patterns that would go that way, because if you know anything about geography, it would never take the wind. Doesn't go like that. Why would it crash out there?
So I wanted to bring that up.
Sorry.
And thank you for that. That was great. That was a great description. I agree with that. I think
Let's just be clear. The saucer did not crash in Roswell. It crashed in Corona, New Mexico. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So. I agree that video, that image was put out for a press release. I mean, that's General Remy right there. He has to get in on the action, and I think he was the commander of the base or whatever at the time.
Well, the guy who was, I think, if I remember right, the guy that was in the picture was not. Wasn't he? Put the picture back up.
He was that was Jesse Marcel. No, he was not. I do not have a slide deck on him yet.
This picture, right? The picture, right? Let's see. Yeah, go to the next picture. The guy.
Yeah, that's Jesse Marcel. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he went out. He went out and was one of the first people to see it. And they say, like, in the background of the picture, there's like a box or something off to the left, off to his right. See down there in the lower corner, right there. It's supposedly full of the actual equipment that they had found. And then so he wasn't actually at he was like the public affairs officer. He kind of went out and investigated the crash. But then the base commander at the time of Roswell Army Airfield, because it was the Army Air Force at the time. It wasn't the
I don't think it was in these photos, but supposedly in some of the photos they released, and I just heard this, I haven't verified it, but that they blew, it was a telegram, and somebody blew it up and kind of unfuzzied it and deciphered that it was talking about something to do with the crash. So I don't know if that was a set piece or what. Who knows? It's just incidental
Let me show you
story.
something real quick. Don't put that down. Let me show you something here. See how where it says, go back onto that slide real quick. Let's get this pulled up here. See right there where it says Delbert's Fill. What is it? DEBR. Approximately 75 miles north of Roswell, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, debris field. Yeah.
Let me get Google Maps up real quick. We're going to go.
Then you got White Sands Proving Ground right here.
Allman Air Force Base,
Yeah.
Alamogordo.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know the story of how Roswell was bought out?
Roswell, yeah, they bought out all the people who were in there.
Yeah. Do you know the story about that? Do you know about the Fosters?
Fosters. I remember hearing something about that.
Okay, I got some slides on the Fosters if we get to it. So
Here, hold on. Let me look up
this
that
blew my
field.
mind when I heard it.
That airfield really does exist. Let me get that name up. What's funny is there's a road that goes right up the middle that they're not showing. So you got Alamogordo and then Vaughn. They have 50. They don't show 50. It might not have been in there at the time when that was made. I wonder how old that map is.
I'm pretty sure this was in the newspaper at the time. Like this was. I got the photos from the press release.
The 1940s, 1947-ish.
I mean, the crash happened July 8, 1947. So yeah.
Let me see here. Here, let me take over this real quick. I'll show you something. Let's go stream. I think this is it. Share. We're gonna go up here. See, this is that area right there.
Mm-hmm.
So here's Corona right here, and then this is the road that it's off of. And if you go down here, Town Tower TW Road, I think there's an airfield. Yeah, right here. There's like an airfield in there that I went to when I was probably looking in there. So my thing is right up here where this is. This is where we see these lines here. These are all like windmills we were putting in. See the windmill right there?
Mm-hmm.
So we were working on that project up in Corona, and Corona's right. Corona, New Mexico is right there. So you take this road here, 274, and you drive out here, and I can't remember. There's like literally now you put yours back up. We'll take a look at it. Put your slide back up. See that field right there? It says field
Yeah.
crash. There's a runway there that they put in there that it crashed next to.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's the other Air Force base down here, and not to say that was it. I hear what you're saying.
That's it.
You're
Walker
talking
Air
about
Force.
like a landing strip, right? Like a small.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like you're not talking about like an airfield. You mean like a landing strip, like something in the dirt, right? Or was it paved? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, here we go. Here, I'll put it back up now. I marked it on here, the crash site, right here. Let's see. See it here?
Mm-hmm.
Or look at what's right here.
Yeah, I see it.
Transwest Pipeline.
Oh, yeah, it's an actual airport. Oh, interesting.
It's an abandoned one. But
Oh, okay. Pipeline number, so that must have been when they were, you know.
yeah, so there's this road you go down here. Tower, right here.
What pipelines were they running out there?
Oil.
But
This came later.
they're not in use, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but see, like down in here, see the crash site right there?
Yeah, how many miles would you say that is from that airfield?
Oh, let's see. It's
Like we're talking 20, 10. Oh, it's right there. Oh,
yeah, 5 miles. No, it's like four
not
miles
even
away.
that. It's like, yeah, it's a couple.
Like the problem is this road here is on a private ranch. Sometimes that gate is closed. But see, this is like if you go into the ground here.
So the government sold it back to a private owner?
No, it was always owned by a private owner. The rancher who owned this ranch found this crash site out in there. Found that he was out
Yeah, it
looking at
was
the
the
herd.
Foster's Ranch, and it got bought out. Is the story I got. Was it an LLC that bought it? I got to do more research on that one. But the crash took place on the Foster's Ranch at the time.
But if you come back here, so you got this crash site here, or this is where it ended up. But you can go back, like a ways back, and there's like this. I saw it where they pointed it out. There's like a crash. There's like a line and direct lineage, and direct link to that crash. It's like right up in here. It's like a crash. There's like a scar in the ground, and then it lines straight up with where it ended right there. So it like hit and then bounced.
So
So
there's a whole lot
anyway,
of weirdness about Roswell. The aerospace aspect obviously is a major, it's an important factor.
well, we just put in back in 2019, we put in a huge expansion on all the runways out there. So
Hmm.
that's when we were doing that when I was doing the cement out there, and we got to go look at the hangar where they took the debris and stuff. It was pretty cool. All that stuff's still up there. I'm going to try to go get some pictures this weekend when I'm down there.
So I'm going to read this about the Roswell incident on the Foster Ranch. On or around June 14, 1947, Mac Brazel, the ranch foreman, discovered unusual debris scattered across a 200-yard area of the Foster Ranch. While checking stock, accompanied by his neighbor's son, or in some accounts his own son, Vernon, the debris included tinfoil-like material, rubber strips, tough paper, and sticks, along with a shallow trench several hundred feet long. Initially, Brazel ignored the debris but returned July 4, 1947 with his wife, daughter Betty, and son Vernon to collect more after hearing about the flying disc reports and a $3,000 reward for proof of such objects.
That's
And
a lot of
then
money.
July 5th or 6th, 1947, Brazel reported it to Sheriff George Wilcox and Roswell after discussing with his uncle. Wilcox contacted the Roswell Army Airfield. Major Jesse Marcel, that's the guy in the photo, and Counterintelligence Corps officer Sheridan Cavett investigated the site, collected the debris in July 8, 1947. So that debris that you're seeing in that photo is from the Foster Ranch. So hours later, Brigadier General Roger Ramey, that's the other guy in the photo that we just saw, retracted the claim, stating the debris was a weather balloon with a radar target. The debris was flown to Fort Worth, and Marcel later said it was not a balloon, describing indestructible materials. In 1994, the U.S. Air Force revealed the debris was from Project Mogul, a top secret program using high altitude balloons to monitor Soviet nuclear tests. Project Mogul, that's in the lore here, so just remember that thing. Launched from Alamogordo, a Mogul balloon train crashed near the Foster Ranch after losing contact 17 miles away. The materials, tinfoil, rubber, balsa wood, matched Brazel's description. In 1997, Air Force report, the Roswell report, case closed, attributed alien body stories to later events, dismissing UFO claims. And they also said that they were throwing crash test dummies out of planes. That was like another story they floated around or something in the 50s. The Fosters, this is very interesting, were in Texas during the incident, but were informed by Brazel during a phone call. Just skip that. Okay, it doesn't go into their background. Anyway, I've got slides on the Fosters, but when we say the Fosters, it's the Foster. Like, you've heard of the Foster family or the Foster family program?
No.
Like foster kids?
Yeah,
That's where that comes from.
that's their program.
That's their program. Yep. Yep.
That's nationwide.
Yep. Everyone who worked on their ranch was a part of the Church of Christ. Do you know anything about that, Corey? Or about that group? I don't know a lot about them. A little bit. What do you know about them? Would you mind sharing?
Wait, were they also involved in Foster Freeze? Just saying. Ice cream? No.
Maybe.
Okay, my bad.
I don't know. Well, they're interested in kids, maybe. I don't know.
Anyways, Corey, what were we saying?
Church of Christ. It's a unique church, unique religion, more closed net people, and they're good to their own.
Isn't that the Mormon Church?
No, it's like that. What was the Waco folks? It's not like that, but it's like a Scientology-esque Mormon mix with is the aesthetic I'm getting from it. I don't think they believe the same thing. I'm just saying it feels like something like that.
Yeah, little bit Mormonish, but not really, or Mormon light.
They have a crazy compound. Like they have like a whole galleria of statues. Hang on, art. Church. Let me see if I can find it. Do you know anything else about them, or?
Not as much.
Yeah, we'll save that for another time. I'm not going to get into them. Anyway, they're a part of this story.
They're related to the people with Foster Farms.
There you go.
People, the chicken people.
Yeah. What's that? Oh, really? Like Foster Chicken?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, I could be reading this wrong.
I mean, if that's true, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, we'll see.
Which makes sense. So.
I wonder if there is a correlation because it came up. The two of them came up together.
Could be.
Anyway, I'm going to keep going with the slideshow here.
Yeah, keep going.
This is gonna switch subjects a little bit, but I just want to, again, this is priming the pumps. We're getting the brain juices flowing here. All right. So everyone knows about the famous Eisenhower farewell address.
Yeah, the whole what is it? The military industrial complex.
Yep. Or the MIC. We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of a misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. So everyone is, that goes into conspiracies, talks about the military-industrial complex, and people just think like, okay, it's people that make weapons for money. It is so much more complicated than that. There are whole economies and states that are dependent upon this whole economic infrastructure that have been built. It really took off during the World War II, but the initial industrial, it goes back to the industrialists of the Americas in the 1800s. The men who built America. The Carnegies, the oil barons. All those guys were kind of like the first caste, elites to start accessing the intrinsic wealth within the nation, like in the ground, to start building up industry. So people, these are the primary clients of what we would say is the military industrial complex. There's many more. NATO, you're talking about hundreds of countries. And then even the third world countries we sell our old stuff to, just so they have something. And then NASA isn't even this isn't a very accurate chart. It just kind of gives you an idea. There's thousands of these entities out there that all flow in and require, the tax, the productivity base of the United States to feed it. And it is a machine in the sense that it must eat, or it's a beast system. It must eat in order to stay alive. It must be relevant in order to stay alive. And the argument is, if they don't stay alive, then we don't have, the competitive edge over the world. We gained our competitive edge when we integrated the German industrial base post World War II. Really, it was prior to World War II, in my opinion, and there's evidence for that.
Yeah.
For example, Ford and IBM had, Ford had factories over there. IBM, famously, there's a book about it, IBM and the Holocaust, where IBM was running the numbering system for their the slaves that the Germans were using for their forced labor program, including the Jews, but it was many others. It was so the American industrial base was integrated with the German industrial base prior to the war and in the middle of the war and after the war. Bombers were complaining, why aren't we taking out these giant factories? Turns out they were a bunch of Ford and American, industrialists that didn't want their assets being destroyed.
Yeah.
So that's a story a lot of people know. That's been, in my opinion, that's been pretty much well proven. So you got the German connection and all that, and you have this monstrous base. I don't think there's anything more powerful, and because I would also include pharma, the pharmaceutical complex, in the military-industrial complex.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much the same thing. Agriculture, very similar to pharma. You've noticed that.
Look who's on there. GE does pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, it's a giant incestuous relationship at this point. Everyone knows about BlackRock and Vanguard and State Street, the major, the asset managers and the major stakeholders. You hear people in Davos talk about stakeholder capitalism, which literally just means oligarchy or fascism, pretty much. Or the traditional definition of fascism, in the sense that government and corporate interests have merged into a singular cohesive unit. And that's what Eisenhower was talking about. Why is that relevant to the JFK assassination? There's been plenty of evidence to show that what JFK wanted to do and versus what they need in order to exist were diametrically opposed in many regards. And what I suspect is, especially when JFK, well, let me move on to the next one here. It's not what I suspect. This is it's what a lot of people. So, okay. I'm going to read the moon landing speech. So it's May 25th, 1961. And that's Werner von Braun with John talking about their vision for the future, right?
Well, there's Johnson, Van Braun. Oh.
What?
And that's the guy. So you got Kennedy,
You got
Johnson,
Kennedy, you got Johnson.
Van Braun, and then that's the guy in the center. That's I think that's the guy who ran the NASA. So, yeah.
Well, von Braun founded NASA and was the chief of it. I'm not sure who this guy is. I'm sure I'd recognize the name. I'm not 100%, but there's a bunch of usual suspects that pop in and out of this. Anyway, I'm going to read this real quick. We set sail on the new sea because there is new knowledge to be gained and new rights to be won, and they must be won and used for the progress of all people. For space science, like nuclear science and all technology, has no conscience of its own. Whether it will become a force of good or ill depends on man, and only if the United States occupies a position of preeminence can we help decide whether this new ocean will be a sea of peace or a new terrifying theater of war. I do not say that we should or will go unprotected against the hostile misuse of space any more than we go unprotected against the hostile use of land or sea. But I do say that space can be explored and mastered without feeding the fires of war, without repeating the mistakes that man has made in extending his writ around this globe of ours. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind, and its opportunity for peaceful cooperation may never come again. But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why 35 years ago fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose, and he was at the University of Rice, by the way. So he was like, hyping. He knew like that would trigger the crowd for a cheer. That was brilliant stagecraft that he pulled there. And then we choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. In this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard, because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one and we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too. There's a few tidbits in that speech that I find very, hint, hint. Any thoughts on that before I pull that down?
No.
First impressions? No. Because we were kind of raised with this, so it kind of just seems normal. There's a few things that stick out to me. Is one, there's no reason we need to go to space and then using the same economic model of how our tech tree was progressing to that point. The reason we were accelerating in technology so quickly was literally fueled by going to war all the time and using warfare as basically a giant laboratory to test all this stuff out. That's really that's not all war was about.
Why do you think we went to Vietnam? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, well, Vietnam was a giant lab. Exactly. Yeah, that was absolute. It was psychological testing. It was, everything about that war was testing. Everything was measured, and it was very German the way they did it. Very
The Germans. Yes.
like the metrics. And it was. And I don't think they even had any intention of winning that war to begin with. I think the winning didn't matter. That wasn't the point of that war. I think it was all the amount of information and data they gathered was invaluable to them.
The precursor for COVID-19.
Chemical weapons, strategic targeting, spycraft, mind control operations.
Put this thing down real quick. Let's see what Corey had to say. What was that, Corey?
The precursor for COVID-19 was utilized in the Vietnam era.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I was agreeing with you. I'm saying, they're testing bioweapon, all that stuff, everything. Yeah.
Everything.
So this is when we're getting into the DJ calls it, Dark Journalist. He has a series called Agent Oswald. I love that. It kind of is telling. So I kind of am going through the timeline of Oswald here. So remember I was telling you guys he joined the Civil Air Patrol in New Orleans. So that places him in Louisiana. He was 15 at the time and meets Captain David Ferry. That's this guy right here. So this is when he moved to Fort Worth and got into Texas, and he quits and joins the Marines. So this is David Ferry right here. And that's 15-year-old young Lee Henry Oswald right there. This is a little side thing I added about, and I showed you this before. So that is Rafael Cruz and Lee Harvey Oswald. This is a little out of place, a non sequitur, but I wanted to add it. This is Trump calling into Fox and Friends, May 2016, regarding Rafael Cruz. You know, his father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald being shot, Trump mentioned. The whole thing is ridiculous, and nobody even brings it up. They don't even talk about that. That was reported, and nobody talks about it.
Rafael Cruz is Ted Cruz's dad, Corey.
Oh.
Yeah. I could see that stumbled look on your face.
And he was Cuban.
Yeah.
He was a Cuban immigrant and was imprisoned in Castro's regime. So, and then all of a sudden his son gets blessed as a senator. You do not become a senator in the United States without a lot of blessings, like a lot of hands being laid upon you. Like you have to, like that is being like, that's like the Roman Senate. You gotta, they think themselves that way. You know, you are a blessed caste in their eyes. But meaning not just anyone can become a senator. So you have to know that you're trustworthy.
They have to know you're trustworthy.
I'm sorry, yeah. They have to know that. Like it's like the mob. Yeah. So that's David Ferry. Diagnosed with alopecia, which explains the lack of hair and the bad wig and the no eyebrows. So, which is honestly useful for if you got good disguises, that's good for that. Swap wigs in and out, swap your eyebrows even. You can change your appearance pretty quickly.
Well, if you don't got no hair, like Corey can definitely wear a wig pretty quick.
Yeah, you can run and gun that. Just boom.
I also can walk out in the rain and never get wet.
So he's
35
to 44, study for the priesthood, was dismissed for emotional instability. So that was his entire...
Wow.
Right. That was... So in college, he was going into the priesthood, and they were like, yeah, no, you can't do this. 44 to 47, he got his pilot's license, taught students for a living. He was fired for taking them to a brothel. 47, as soon as he was
every
fired,
good priest should do. Yeah.
47, it's just we're seeing pattern recognition here, right? Okay.
Yeah.
47, joined the Civil Air Patrol as an instructor. That was this photo. That was him as the instructor for this troop with Lee Harvey Oswald right there. 54, he was dismissed temporarily after a student dies under his supervision. And 55, that's when Oswald joins at age 15. So 55 minus 18, that is what? So you would have been like almost 40 in this age, like mid 30s, probably 38, something. I can't do math, but all right. So in 60, he formed something, it was unofficial, I don't know how to pronounce that, Metairie Falcon Cadet Squadron, mobile security unit to go fight Castro's regime. So he was getting the kids hyped up to go to war with Cuba, right? And this is, 1960. 61, began working with Sergio Arcacha Smith, head of the CIA-backed Cuban Democratic Revolutionary Front in New Orleans, engaging with anti-Castro activities, participates in a raid on munitions depot in Wama, Louisiana, stealing weapons for Cuban exiles. So, I mean, this is what's on his record, just for what it's worth. He was fired from...
Is this something new?
Feel free to look this up. I'll send this to you. You can look all this stuff up.
No. My question is, you made this PowerPoint? You didn't download something? You made this?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay,
I mean, I copy and pasted a bunch of stuff. I didn't just type all this out by hand, but
God, man, release this boy on a mission. He gives you work product. I'll tell you that.
Fired from the
Sorry.
Eastern
55
Airlines.
slides.
AI is very handy right now for stuff like this, honestly.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it doesn't mean you just trust it, but if you know the source material and you can, but it gives you the source so you can actually like verify that this is real. So it's great for building timelines. Fired from Eastern Airlines after arrest in August and October for moral charges involving boys age 14 to 18. The charges led to the dissolution of the Metairie Falcon Cadet Squadron. Okay. So, yeah, this guy is a problem, okay?
He's better.
Or he's somebody that's very useful to be controlled and follow orders
Useful.
absolutely. You know? 61 works as a private investigator, often for G. Ray Gill, lawyer representing New Orleans mafia boss Carlo Marcello. Allegedly pilots a plane to return Marcello to the U.S. after his 1961 deportation to Guatemala. That's not confirmed, but that's the story. So the part about him piloting a plane from Marcello is not confirmed. All right. Delivers a speech to the military order of world wars in New Orleans, criticizing President Kennedy handling the Bay of Pigs, reportedly saying Kennedy ought to be shot, and was asked to leave the podium. Frequents 544 Camp Street, New Orleans. The officer, Guy Bannister, who I do not have a slide on. He deserves his own PowerPoint. Guy Bannister is a former FBI agent, private investigator, and basically he worked for the CIA. I mean, he's like he was like a far right recruiter of like getting young gung ho Americans to go be agents and fight and go be spooks for their country. So he played Red Team. Like he was a great recruiter for that and ran a lot of. I mean, his story is unbelievable. It'll take a long time to unpack that one. I didn't even tackle it in this one. So anyway, he's Guy Bannister, somebody to remember. So it's this. Oh, the 544 Camp Street. That's the same address that you see Oswald. That's kind of their base where they were passing out. Pro Castro pamphlet distribution. So let's back up a second here.
Wait a minute. So let me get this correct. This guy comes up. He's trying to get weapons down to get Castro out of Cuba.
David Ferry. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's running, and he's tied to the mob, which anyone who does any
He knows Oswald. Okay. Right. So he knows Oswald. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I just showed you photos with him. He led the troop that Oswald joined.
I like the popcorn touch, Corey. That's really cool.
So, yeah, he absolutely knew him.
But wasn't Lee Harvey Oswald like an outwardly spoken communist?
That was the optics. Correct. So what do you do when you want to make an agent? You build a legend. Something that people can, glob onto. Somebody that can maneuver in and out of places that you want. Like if you want to say get somebody into the Soviet Union at that time, you have to make it look like they're a friendly, right? Somebody that they'd be like, oh, we have a defector. Okay. So, but that's a great point you caught there.
Yeah, I mean, he was working with these kids of the Civil Air Patrol as an anti-communist leader. So when he goes to, I know this is like not in chronological order, but when he starts and goes off to the Mexico to try to go into doesn't he go to the Soviet what is that?
Right
he went to Mexico City, yeah, didn't he?
Yeah, but that was later. So this is in 1959. He defected to the Soviet Union, travels to Helsinki, Moscow, attempts suicide when the visa expires, renounces U.S. citizenship at the embassy. Not completed. Now, this is the official story. This isn't like what actually happened, by the way. This is kind of the legend of Oswald as is on the record. The
Mm-hmm.
funny thing is, no one knows this story, really. It's not really put out there. But this is
Keep
like...
talking, I'm listening. Yeah, we just got.
So, the CIA, this was verified through the document releases that came out that they were monitoring him as a potential defector.
Yeah.
And he did defect. So that CIA file 201 file was open. The new releases that just dropped this year from the JFK assassination proved that they were monitoring his mail and had extensive knowledge about Oswald pre-assassination. So that's on the record. That's in the congressional report. That's out there now. So I skipped a lot, but since you brought up the Soviet Union, I wanted to keep that train of thought. So I'm going to backtrack here in a minute, but this is his wife when he gets there in December. He gets there in October. December, the file is opened, and he marries in January. Okay, that's 4 or 5 months?
Well, I got married pretty quick.
Cold-blooded Black Widow chick, ready to, gets a job, has a daughter. 62.
What happened to Lee Harvey's daughter? That's what.
I think she's still around.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, Marina was around until very recent. I think she just recently died. She may still even be alive. I'm not sure. But, I mean, there's so many people that have tried to interview. I mean, she just she stopped doing that a long time ago. And she never really got a lot out there. She was pretty quiet. I don't know where she is, though. I'm sure she's trackable. I'm sure her daughter is. But her daughter was so young at this time, she's not going to remember anything. Except for
yeah, but she might have access to files and stuff. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, her mom might have told her stories, but if I were her mom, I wouldn't tell her shit about this. I'd like, because you want your daughter to get killed?
Yeah, I wouldn't say shit if I had a mouth full of it, man.
So, all right, I'm going to backtrack a little bit here. Go back to David Ferry. This is, okay, November 22nd, John's killed in Dallas. Ferry is in New Orleans, but travels to Houston that evening, later claiming it was for ice skating and goose hunting. November 25th, 1963, arrested for vagrancy by New Orleans DA Jim Garrison. Jim Garrison deserves a whole slideshow for himself. He was one of the toughest, he went after this with a dog on a bone. Like, he actually was serious about it. He's a former judge. He was a district attorney. I think he was a former FBI guy. I'm not sure, but he was a well-respected guy from the system that came after this, and he was he struck me as a very honorable man. And they totally just ruined him from this. So, continue working in New Orleans, maintaining connections to anti-Castro groups and Marcello's associates. So when we think of the mob and government, the mob are the frontline soldiers of government.
Well, the mob had a good thing going in Cuba too until the
exactly
Castro came over and got rid of all their. They actually had casinos going in Cuba before they went to Vegas. Vegas is where they went after they got kicked out of Cuba.
Cuba was the plan. It was offshore from the States. You could run whatever underground stuff you wanted. It was Cuba. It was the golden jewel. But something happened. We did some deal, or we had some people in the FDR administration, because these kinds of deals are made decades in advance, where for whatever reason, the United States, because if the United States wanted Cuba, we could get it. The idea that, but all these operations that we ran in Cuba, I'm like exploding cigars, running 300 assassination attempts on the whole thing was ridiculous. It kind of seems like it was like another kayfabe to make it look like we had an enemy off our shore to justify,
Refape?
Yeah, like professional wrestling. Like we allow communists to exist in Cuba to have a spook right off, like a spooky enemy right outside our shore, to have like a justification for a massive, spending projects. And then you get more experimentation. Like the goal is to not win the war. The goal is to keep the wars going. That's why I brought up the military industrial complex in the beginning, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, how was it? Didn't we talk in one of the episodes that there was like 14 years that the United States hasn't been at war with something or someone? You're
Yeah.
committing
And
troops somewhere
and
here or
now
there.
and yeah, and now even but then it's like, okay, are we talking about troops? But now, like, is fentanyl a part of warfare? Is drugs a part of warfare? Is propaganda warfare? Is investments and taking and stripping out the industrial base of this country warfare? Is population movements warfare? Everything has and always was warfare. That's Sun Tzu 101. And we are taught that it's little men in green army jackets with guns moving in directions and maneuvers, because that's how the West likes to think of war, because it's like a game historically for the Europeans. To the Easterners, to the civilizational warriors, the people that are fighting for their civilization, war is every aspect of human existence. You
Yeah.
leverage every leverage point that you can think of, including your own mother or whatever you need to do to win. Anything to win. Anything to dominate. And that's a long-term game. It's called the Great Game.
That's why it's called Total War too.
But exactly, yes. So finishing with David Ferry. So he was found dead in his New Orleans apartment. Oh, sorry. Garrison's investigation in the JFK assassination was targeting Ferry as a key figure in an alleged conspiracy with Jack Martin, a Bannister associate, accused Ferry of teaching Oswald to shoot and threatening Kennedy's life. He was found dead in a New Orleans apartment. So this reads like they
Why
used
would
Ferry. What?
why would Oswald need to be taught to shoot? He was a
I don't
Marine.
think that he actually did that. No, exactly. That's not. Well, he said initially, and I think it's a way to justify, like, the suicide. He's like, or no, sorry, he died from a brain aneurysm. And his Garrison suspected foul play, but had no evidence. 2 unsigned typed notes found in his apartment are interpreted by some as suicide notes. That's disputed, but it's a legend. It's that, he's a bad man. He taught the assassin how to shoot, so that's why he's dead now. Or he's dead, just ignore him. He's a bad guy. It adds to the legend of Oswald, So I don't believe I don't believe that, I mean, he probably did. They did stuff like that in Civil Air Patrol, but who cares, Teaching a 15-year-old how to shoot a .22 long rifle is like, oh, wow, yeah, you killed the president. Anyway, 67 to 79, Garrison, go ahead.
What are your thoughts, Corey?
I'm just listening. It seems like there are many roads that you could go down, but you're choosing only a few avenues and you're trying to get somewhere.
Yeah, that's why I started with
So I'm
Roswell.
just trying to, yeah, so I'm just trying to wait for where that landing is.
Oh, that's not coming
Because,
for a long time. This is a part of the story that no one knows about. Like, this is important. Like, this adds, to me, I added this because this is important to understand of how these systems work in the background and knowing these key figures that pop in and out. One, Oswald was clearly watched by the CIA. I mean, it's on the record now. He was a known asset.
mm-hmm.
Like, that is totally undisputed at this point. That throw the Warren report out the window officially. Anyone who ever brings it up again is a traitor or an idiot and should never be trusted. And there is not a single person in government. I'm not talking about civilians. I'm talking about people in government. There is not a single congressional member that has openly disputed the Warren report. That I've seen. I haven't seen that. There's some that are dancing around it, but they're basically saying, no, we need to open up more, but no one's called out the Warren report as liars until Well, these new releases have shown that the Warren Report has, they missed a lot of important stuff. Well, that Oswald was a CIA asset. That's missed that one. So it's like these people in Congress, they all know that this is how the game works. This is my point. They're not that stupid. They think we're stupid.
Well, it's the classic example of the wag the dog situation. You know, so they think that they're smarter than all of us. That's the problem with the internet now is they're playing the same game that they've always played, and people don't trust anything that they say because they see you say it's purple and we know it's red. It's just.
Well, they convinced us to stay 6 feet apart and wear paper masks for 3-4 years, and that was a psychological warfare attack.
Was
That had nothing to do with health. That was a demoralization, classic psychological mass programming attack on the whole planet.
Well, we still got
We all
people.
just saw that. So
Down here in Las Cruces, there's not a day that goes by that I don't see one person. I say clean that up. Person walking around the street with a mask on. They're still doing it.
Yeah, this is modern warfare. Not modern. This is warfare. It's just now that with digital technology and mass media and communications, words shape people's reality. And what's great about the JFK assassination is it's a great way to decompartmentalize it all and to look at all the aspects of it, of their tactics and strategies of how they manipulate and use people. Because more and more information is just coming out every week almost. It's like, it's just, it's crazy.
As they decode it more and more too, it gets more and more crazy.
Yeah, the because this is the other thing, I feel like the QAnon thing was like, they knew people were curious, but people don't know how to think anymore, and they're too lazy to read, to like track narrative trails, to track people and do a little bit of extra thinking work. So QAnon was just like spoon feeding like factoids and just hopium and things and a lot of it came true, to be honest, which added to the validity. But that's what you do in a limited hangout operation. You give them just enough to believe in you. It's like, hey, look, this happened. It's real. And then but what you've done is you have now created an entire sect of people that are reliant upon info drops rather than understanding the story and how it all works and how the system works itself. Now they're just relying upon a narrative being fed to you.
Well, it's kind of like the old school when you'd read people like would read the newspaper and they just read the headline and they wouldn't read the actual story. Yeah.
Yeah. But then still very intelligent people that understand this, they learn to read between the lines, right? That's what it's called. Learn between, what's the story between the pages?
What are they trying to tell you what are they trying to say without telling you? Yeah.
Or what are they not telling you? Or what are the inconsistencies? What are the lies? What's the gap? What's not being said? What's the unsaid thing? Okay, we get your narrative track. Now where does all the branches that make that thing that you said make sense? How does that system work? That is not taught at all in our educational system, all the way to, especially in postgrad. Maybe there's a couple degrees that teach you systems analysis, but systems analysis in the context of like an industry, not like how the world works. They won't allow that. They can't allow that because if you did systems analysis of global history, you're like, we're ruled by criminals. Like, it's like the most evil systems ever. Like, I honestly forgot what it's like for the average person to look at the world and what they think is happening. I completely forgot what it's like to even think that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's impressive. It's just I can't stand. But the thing I don't like is it's so easy for me now. When I watch the news, I can't go 4 or 5 minutes without just seeing something heap out on it. That's just a pile of crap. It's like, anyway. Okay, well, moving on.
I've got this is one that got me this blew my mind, and I've talked about this a little bit. So I'm going to introduce you to three gentlemen, three cousins. Okay, well, two brothers and two cousins to the brother. Anyway, oh shoot, did I?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, no, I got it. All right, yeah, David Harold Byrd is who I'm really trying to talk about here. Cousin to Richard E. Byrd, and this is the guy who ran Operation High
Operation High
Jump.
Jump.
Yep. And you have a relative. We have a relative that was a part of that, right? Yep. That was the exploration. Do you know anything about that you want to add to that? Because that's relevant to this, Cody.
Oh, I'm having trouble. Like, go ahead.
It was an expedition to Antarctica.
Oh
It
yeah.
included an aircraft carrier, a whole fleet of ships. It was like a whole brigade was sent out there. It was like 4,000 Marines, several like dozen aircraft, something. It was like a whole flotilla they sent on an expedition to Antarctica with like combat troops and stuff. Like it was very strange.
Yeah, it's like there was enough people there to occupy and take. It's like a yeah, it's
They
crazy.
went ready for a fight. That's what was weird about it. And that's on the record. So there's legends and stories of, the Germans didn't get to have a lot of surface vessels, but they had a lot of U-boats. And there's a lot of maps that came out
Operation
post.
High Jump, August 1946 to 1940, February of 1947. United States Navy established United explorer to establish a research base in Antarctica, trained personnel in cold weather, tested equipment, and led by Rear Admiral Richard.
Bird.
Wow, Richard R.
So
Byrd.
they ended it early because something happened.
Richard R.
Something set
Byrd.
them
No, no,
home.
no.
You don't
Operation
just
involved 4,700 people, 13 ships, 33 aircraft, and the base is Little America. Wow, that's cool. Wow, Little America. Hmm.
there's a legend, and it's not so much a legend. There's actually a lot of evidence for this, but the Germans had bases down there.
Well, they
And they
have.
had
Why would they have bases down there? They have bases up in the polar regions. They established weather bases on was it
the
Greenland
Arctic.
and
Yeah.
Iceland and why
Yeah,
not
no, they
down there
went
too?
they went to both poles, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but the Antarctica is very strange because everyone seems to be because I mean it there's a lot more activity around Antarctica than there is around the Arctic that we can see. I'm not saying there isn't still activity going on, but I'm saying there's like this competition. The geophysical year that Uncle Glenn was involved in, that was based around Antarctica as like a reference point. And really, what I think the geophysical year was basically setting getting all the scientists and countries of the world together post World War II, and everyone's going to be deciding on their standards of measurement for everything,
Yeah.
like everything. Radio waves, lights, all that, like everyone, like they conquered the world. It's like, okay, now your weights and measures are going to be the same. Now, I also think it acted as a cover for a lot of activity that was going on in Antarctica. There were a lot of expeditions going on down there at that time. There's whole documentaries. You can look them up on YouTube. They obviously don't tell what I think is the real story, but it was the cover story of what was really going on. I think the military was heavily involved in stuff going on in Antarctica. Anyway, moving on from that, that's just kind of a brief. There's so much more I could talk about that, but I don't have slides for it right now. Harry S. Byrd, that's Senator Byrd. He was a Grand Dragon in the Ku Klux Klan. He's that guy that Joe Biden famously was seen with in the car. He's like, hey, he's with a KKK guy. You might have saw that on the campaign
Wasn't he a
trail.
senator that was like one of the oldest senators to ever be a senator or something like that too?
Possibly. He was old. He was like an old dude. I mean, like Foghorn Leghorn is kind of based off of this guy, if I remember correctly. It's like,
No shit. Okay.
yeah. All right. So this is David Harrelbird, called Dry Hole Bird after an oil guy in Texas. 56 unsuccessful wells. 1931, Bird partnered with Jack Frost to form Bird Frost, incorporating and operating 492 wells in East Texas, 4,000 daily. That went well. Founded Bird Oil Corporation, BH Drilling, sold it to Mobil. Again, he's moving on up, Established 3 states natural gas company in 1952, sold to Delhi Taylor Oil Corporation in 61. So he did very well for himself. Invested in aviation, co-founded Temco Aircraft, which merged James Ling, Chance Vought Corporation in 1961, formed Ling Temco Vought LTV, a major defense contractor, which they were bought up. I think they're part of Boeing today, or Lockheed, I can't remember. They were bought up by one of the big ones. Texas School Book Depository purchased the building of 411 Elm Street, Dallas, 1937 at a public auction. And that's where, that window is where Lee Harvey supposedly shot the president. And he, on the record, had that window taken out and put in his mansion and displayed it in his Dallas mansion. That's on the record.
That was in the dark files with that one guy. I think there was like 3 or 4 YouTube videos. He would talk about that stuff over and over again with the lady co-host or whatever her name was.
Mm-hmm.
Dark journalist, you mean?
She seemed like she was really interested in him too. It was
Olivia?
Kind of
Yeah. Oh, so you have been watching it. Cool. Yeah, no, a lot of this is based off of that, but I've like gone and like independently looked at the source material for myself, and this is all on the record. Like, he's right about this. He's not just making this up. So that's interesting. So, okay. Aviation business. During this period, Bird became very interested in aviation. In 1938, he was named Texas Civil Aeronautics Commission by Texas Governor James Allred. He was involved in founding the Civil Air Patrol. During World War II, Bird commanded a CAP, Civil Air Patrol anti-submarine base, whatever the hell that means, in Beaumont, Texas. Because this is like a bunch of high school, an anti-submarine base. I don't. Again, like, I could look into any one of these things, and I'm like, what? Like, what does that mean? But basically, civil air, like, the idea is basically depth of force. Let's militarize the America's youth, Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts. Let's get them into Civil Air Patrol, Sea Cadets. And then we start picking and recruiting people and start sorting people early in life that are patriots, that love their country, that'll do what they're told, that are in the system. It institutionalizes kids at an early age. And I know that's what it is because I was in this. Not Civil Air Patrol, but I was in the Navy version. And I saw kids getting recruited all the time. Not into like CIA stuff, but like, hey, you know, and like you're in the SEALs, and like guy got fast tracked through the SEALs. Like that, it's like an early way to suss people out and see their capacities. You do mental, psychological testing, physical testing. You can, and they've measured all this stuff for years now, so they can quickly identify good candidates.
LTV Aerospace was one of the companies that was owned AIM General, the people that built Humvees.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but yeah, I mean, there's so much crossover with the MIC, with the military industrial complex. I mean, these companies they get retooled all the time to do all kinds of stuff, After the war, he helped incorporate the Civil Air Patrol. It was officially designated as an auxiliary of the Air Force. Helped initiate the initial Air Force Air Cadet Exchange and established supported cadet scholarships. International Air Cadet Exchange. International. So you start doing like foreign relations studies. Kids in college are like primed to go and work for the CIA because they want you to want to go live overseas. They don't want you tied to your home. They want you to go and integrate with other societies and people so you can be assets over there for whatever, from stupid things, from typewriter, like working a typing machine, to an assassin. It's literally everything, but it's a way. This is how they recruit people. stuff like this. Okay. For his work with the Catbird, was awarded the U.S. Air Force Scroll of Appreciation, which I guess that's a big deal. I don't know. All right, back to Oswald. So he was relieved hardship discharge supposedly because of his mother's illness.
September 11th, huh? Convenient.
Yeah, but it was later changed to undesirable post defection to cover their ass, probably, or whatever. Who knows? To add to the legend of Agent Oswald, it's like, oh, he was undesirable. He was this 15-year-old that wanted to go into the Marines at 15, just wanted to become a commie. So 7 years later, because he was disillusioned of capitalism because of, you know what I mean? It's what you would say to create a legend for somebody like this, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
October 1631, defects to USSR. We just went over this earlier. The file was opened. He gets married to his beard.
Beard?
His spy wife, his handler. Wives tend to be handlers to guys like this, or it's vice versa. It's kind of
don't try to tell me your wife's not handling you.
yeah, for Mexican intelligence. Yeah,
I know, man.
the CISAs. Yeah,
CISAs. Well, I would have a lot more faith in Mexican intelligence than Army intelligence.
they'll
Oxymoron
do some
of
crazy
oxymoron.
stuff. No, those guys are legit, no joke. They are. They have to fight the cartel. They have to deal with the cartels every day and be just as brutal as they are. So it's like, they'll murder your whole family and put your heads on spikes.
That's why they like essays.
So, gets a job in Fort Worth, Dallas, works at Leslie Welding Company, moves to Dallas, works at Jaggers, Chills, Stovall, which is a government contractor, graphic arts. They supposedly they handled the U2 maps or whatever, but that's not verified. But they were cleared to handle classified information. Again, this adds to the legend that, Oswald went and got in a job that has access to, very classified information. And then he was, the performance, he was inefficient, imprecise, inattentive. He was just a bad employee and publicly reading Russian publications in the cafeteria. It's like, it's just like, it's like this guy's life was planned out to look like the way he was. It's too obvious. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like you're just openly reading Russian stuff in Dallas in the middle of the industrial complex.
You know what? Me and Billy over there were just reading our Communist Manifesto.
We just like them commies.
Working for the government, U.S. government, reading our Communist Manifesto. Sounds like a great way with a government contractor.
But you get a lot of witnesses that are like, I hated that guy. He was horrible. He didn't care about anything, and he was constantly reading his commie magazines. It's like he was a bad man. That's a great way to build that legend.
Esquire magazine, bastards.
So this is another slideshow.
If they mention Promise Keepers in there, I'm going to be like mind blown. I'm just saying.
I'm not, but you can if you want.
No, I'm just kidding. Corey's rolling his eyes.
Agent Oswald. Okay, Major General Edwin Walker. He ran for governor of Texas as a Democrat. Lost the election. You got to remember, this is like back when the Democrats were like, old-fashioned Democrats. Okay,
Party of the people. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like more conservative, and the neocons were like the conservatives. The Republicans at the time were the Yankees, from the north. They were the eastern. Yep. They were the coastal elite. So these guys. So he was shot at in his house, barely hit like a pillar or wall. He got splintered. Like, he got a little hurt by it. The bullet didn't hit him, but some splinter hit him. And basically, the story came out that it was Oswald that did it. That's on the official record of the Warren report, that they said Oswald was there that night, and I'm not clear exactly on the evidence of how they came up with this conclusion, but they blame the attempted assassination of Major General Edwin Walker, who has been a bit of a problem, who was a pro-American. He was involved in the John Birch Society. Said there was there was a communist conspiracy to take over the United States government. So he's like, a rah-rah American Boy Scout, and then bad Oswald comes in and tries to kill him, Moved to New Orleans, worked at Riley Coffee, distributes leaflets. That's the leaflet thing, forms Fair Play for Cuba Committee branch, distributes leaflets, arrested August 9 for disturbance after clash with anti-Castro Cuban Student Directorate, the DRE. So this is now where things start going into CIA land. The DRE was funded and monitored as of the George Joannidis documents released this year. And the Warren Commission totally denied the connection between Joannidis and that Joannidis was monitoring Oswald, even though researchers have known that Joannidis was actively watching Oswald at the time. Back in the 70s, those guys figured it out. That's George Joannidis, born in Greece, worked at the Greek embassy in the U.S., must have done a great job because he got citizenship and joined the CIA in 1950. Deputy Chief, Political Section is Psy-War in the CIA. Then he became a chief of the official Psy-War division, Jamwave is what they called it. And he was the case officer for the DRE. The student thing that Oswald was clashing with, okay? The files confirm the CIA lied for decades about Joannidis' role as Howard. That's the name of the liaison between the DRE and the CIA, was a guy named Howard. And that was really Joannidis. That was his cover name. Or it was an alias. And the agency's DRE connections, undermining its claims of no involvement with Oswald before the assassination. This has been called the 62-year cover-up by Representative Luna and researchers like Morley. So she's like one of the first ones, and she is very strange to me. Like, she's talking about interdimensional beings coming in, and she's running this UFO disclosure committee about how we've got angels coming in. Like, she was on Joe Rogan recently just talking about how we got interdimensional angels and demons coming in, and they're the real aliens.
Could be.
Which, yeah, no, I jive with that. But she's talking, it feels to me like she's not, like this is a limited hangout. I don't feel like she actually knows what she's talking about. And whenever I was watching her, it just felt like she knew the story and stuck to it. It didn't feel organic, like it was somebody speaking from the heart or she was speaking from her head. Anyway, we'll see. The documents detail the DRE's encounter with Oswald in New Orleans, including a street altercation and a radio debate orchestrated by DRE members like Carlos Bringuier. These events, reported to Joannidis, were used post-assassination to portray Oswald as a pro-Castro lone gunman. Despite the releases, 295 documents from the 60s and 70s remain withheld, with the CIA citing national security concerns. Researchers argue these may include Joannidis' operational reports or travel records, potentially clarifying his knowledge of Oswald. Meaning, this was the time frame that Oswald would have been active under those files, and they just withheld all of them in regards to the DRE and the monitoring of them in the CIA. So that still has not been disclosed.
Yeah.
So the Directorio Revolucion, whatever, Student Revolutionary Directorate. That's formed 1960 to oppose Castro communist regime for pro-democracy. In the 62, DREs received $25,000 monthly, approximately $250,000 in 2025 dollars from CIA's Jamwave station in Miami, based in the University of Miami. Post Bay of Pigs shift. After the Bay of Pigs failure, DRE's focus shifted from large-scale invasion plans to small-scale sabotage, propaganda, intelligence gathering, reflecting the Kennedys administration's pivot to covert operations like Operation Mongoose, which is something that is pretty well known about. The big leader there is Luis Fernandez Roca, liaison in Miami with CIA, among other cutouts. So he was like the contact point between Jamwave and the DRE operating in Cuba. There's some photos of Jamwave. It's a station 12 miles north of the University of Miami. And one of their main cover LLCs was Zenith Technical Enterprises. It was the largest
Zenith.
CIA. What?
Yeah. Zenith.
TVs.
Zenith,
Yeah.
yeah. So you've heard of that?
Zenith Technologies, yeah.
Yep.
Do you know anything about it?
They were one of the big competitors with RCA, and they kind of went more towards, like RCA became kind of just like a name plate on stuff.
Well, this is Zenith Technical Enterprises. Is that the same Zenith? I know you're the electronic company. I know what you're talking about. Is that the same thing?
I think they're related. How do you put it back up? Let me see if I spelled it correctly.
Zenith. Technical Enterprises. That's very interesting if that's true.
Zenith, Zenith. Yeah, that was they built electronics.
Yeah, like
I
everything.
remember growing up.
TVs. Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. Yeah, he disappeared back in the 80s, 90s.
But I mean, this is how the CIA. I mean, if you look into InQtel, that this, to run covertly and integrate into the world's information systems, you have to run LLCs and covert companies. And then if you have access to all the information and you get to operate in a mob state, you end up running the major companies of the world. So that's kind of what's happened, and that's why all these major companies that people work for are really just cutouts for intelligence services. And the intelligence services, when I say, like, they call it the IC community for a reason. Everyone says the CIA. It's not just the CIA, honestly, are the front group at this point. If you want to talk about the real CIA, let's talk about Pfizer. Let's talk about Chase Manhattan. It's so incestuous at this point. There is no official group for these people anymore. Their underlings or the people that work for them don't even know what they're a part of. This is global compartmentalization that has taken place within the last 100 years.
Zenith Technology still exists.
It's Zenith Technical Enterprises.
I know, but they've got some name changes.
But that's the name of it? That was one of their origin names?
Yeah. Zenith Technology was a life science manufacturer technology company acquired by... Oh, I can't read that.
Well, does it say what their old names were?
Can you look on... Let me see.
I'll keep going on this. It was the largest CIA station in the world at the time, meaning that was the primary focus. 300 to 400 front companies around South Florida. Third largest Navy in the Caribbean, estimated. Retired 1968. Too much heat. The Kennedy thing was over. Vietnam, we had Vietnam instead. We didn't get the Cuban War. So the parasite lifted up and moved. That's what it looked like. So it just, their focus shifted to Southeast Asia is what I expect in terms of funding. So Operation Mongoose, known as the Cuba Project, it basically was the CIA project to overthrow the government of Cuba and Castro. Included assassination attempts, propaganda, insurgency, supplies, and gun running. The mafia in Miami were highly involved. Sam Giancana, John Roselli, Giancana, I don't know how you say that, but anyway, famous mobsters. This is a memorandum of understanding. Attorney General Mr. Johnson, Mr. Patrick, General Taylor, the Attorney General opened a meeting saying that the higher authority is concerned about progress on the Mongoose program and feels that more priority should be given to trying to mount sabotage operations. The Attorney General said that he wondered if a new look is not required at this time in view of the meager results, especially in the sabotage field. He urged that massive activity be mounted within the entire Mongoose framework. There was a good deal of discussion about this, and General Lansdale, major figure in all this, he kind of ran point, said that another attempt will be made against the major target, which has been the object of 3 unsuccessful missions, and that approximately 6 new ones are in the planning stage. Mr. Johnson said that that's LBJ, said that massive activity would have to appear to come from within. He also said that he hopes soon to be able to present to the group a plan for giving Cuba exiles more of a free hand, with the full realization that this would give more visibility to their activities. On this latter point, Mr. McCone said that he reserved judgment to the feasibility and desirability of such a program. Mr. Johnson agreed that he has reservations as well. Anyway, that's an official old eyes only declassified document from October 4, 1962. So that's just to show that this was a real thing. This isn't just some story. It's also funny to me how infantile it sounds. It's like, we need more activity. The action must come from within. It's like these people think they're in a movie. Like, they're so disassociated from reality of how to actually get these things done, and yet they do crazy things, and they just get away with it. So, but JFK did authorize this, and probably because, I mean, he had to post Bay of Pigs to salvage whatever, because the actual land invasion did not work. And I mean, there's theories about.
What I don't understand is why did we need to go like that when we already have a base there? We have a base in Cuba. Why do we need to do that land operations? We could just send the Marines north. That's what I can never understand.
Politicians.
It
Yeah.
said the activity,
Optics.
it has to come from within, because politically you can't just do a hard land grab at that time.
Wish they would have learned that before we went into Iraq. Oh, I'm just saying.
Well,
My
in
bad.
the 60s, you got to remember, our entire university system was completely subverted by communists.
Yeah,
They
pretty
were
much.
everywhere. I mean, they still are. I mean, we've never gotten rid of them. And so you're going to have riots in the street. I mean, in the 60s, they knew how to riot. So you just have a political fireball. If you did an actual land invasion and did a hard grab of Cuba, I mean, this is why they wanted to bait the Russians in, supposedly. I don't know if I believe this. I think there's deeper reasons to the story. But the Russians brought the missiles in, and now it justifies a full land invasion, or just nuke the damn, or just bomb the shit out of it and just take the whole thing over. So that's like what guys like in this world, like LeMay, bombs away LeMay, was like super excited about it. It's like, oh yes, we finally get to actuate, like, let's do it. Let's take advantage of it. We've been trying to get to this moment for decades. We've always should have had Cuba. Let's kill them all, So this is the Mexico City trip you were talking about, Cody. September 26th, October 3rd, 1963. He visited the Soviet and Cuban embassies for visas, and he was denied. CIA surveils via wiretaps and photos. And when he went for the visas, he made like a big, like, how dare you? I'm a part of the international whatever worker group. Like, he made a big scene, and he made sure everyone saw it. You know what I mean? He went to the Soviet and Cuban embassies, same. And the CIA obviously was surveilling it, had people with cameras on it all the time, snapping who goes in and out, any activity, so it gets on the record. This is 63. Starts the job at the school book depository, order filler, which is owned by Harold Bird, right? We talked about that.
Yeah.
Position overlooks Dealey Plaza, no CIA tie, owned by David Earl Bird at the time of John Kennedy's assassination. Texas School Book Depository, a privately owned company firm responsible for fulfilling school textbook orders. So, I mean, no internet back in those days, folks. Everything was kept in warehouses. So
They still are. We just use the internet to distribute it.
yeah, but a lot of
I
it
might
are in
have
burn pits now.
burn, baby burn.
FBI agents visit Payne's home. I don't know. I don't have a background on the Paynes yet. There's been work done on them, but I don't have a slide for them. But they were basically the guy. Their I don't know. Their hosts. It's where his family stayed. And Oswald leaves a threatening note to the FBI because they visited him and said, "Don't you dare come back to my family. Do you know who I am?" or something like that. So the FBI now has a direct link and puts it on the record that, hey, this guy looks like a threat, you know. And then that was like first week of November, and then November 22nd, that's when John's killed. Wounds Governor Connolly. And then he's arrested. He's supposedly arrested at the Texas Theater. Now, there is so much more to that story of that arrest that is so weird. There was a lady in the school book depository, a witness, and she's on camera talking about this, and she says she never, like, it's loud staircase. She went down, and officers said, "No, you need to turn around and go back the way you came, don't come down here." And she went back up the staircase, back to her office, and she sat there, and the time that supposedly Oswald was supposed to come down from there, she never heard or encountered anybody. There was no one coming up and down those stairwell. There's one stairwell. And she was like, "That I don't believe that was him. I don't know. He wasn't in there." And then there's like witnesses of him walking around the corner. There's a police car, jumps in there, and then drives off to the theater with a police officer. I'll have more on that. I want to be a bit more accurate with that story because there's an actual trail and record of that. All right. Not the most ideal position to shoot from. A target moving away
Into
from
that
you.
plaza, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not a great position to shoot from, especially when you get shot in the front of your head. You know.
No, I don't think he got shot in the front of the head. When I read the coroner's report, there was no entrance wound in the front. It all was on the rear.
I guess you have to choose to rely on the coroner's report, which lost his head. Oh, no, I'm thinking of Oswald. Never mind. Or the video. Both could be doctored.
Well, the thing is like I was watching, these guys were going off about how they're like, how do you say it? I guess the guy in the car turned around and shot him in the face or some stuff.
I don't know. But look, the point is, the reason I went through all of this is to show, and there's so much more that I haven't touched on.
There's a lot of deep undertone.
Everyone is in Dallas today, and there's a bunch of hitmen. And I haven't even gotten to the Saul Esquisse. I'm gonna have to save that for the next one. There is audio of the grandson of Saul Estes. I think Estes. He was like the DNC chairman at the time, talking with, or no, sorry, this was LBJ's like bagman. This is like LBJ's Roger Stone, talking with the DNC chairman, saying, "Oh, Lyndon's just killing everybody right now. He just knows that we know." It's almost like, and they're recording themselves talking, knowing that it's going to be heard. And this tape has not come out until the grandson of Saul Estes just released it like 6 months ago.
Really?
Yeah, it's out there. You can look it up. And it's them talking about how Lyndon he's just killing everybody right now. And Roger Stone said this many years ago. He asked Richard Nixon who killed John. And after Nixon had had a few drinks and kind of chilled out a little bit, and he's like, Stone, me and Lyndon both wanted to be president. The difference was I wasn't willing to kill for it. Roger Stone said Nixon basically told him Lyndon killed him.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the point is, are you going to have just one guy, Oswald, that you've set up this whole legend for to make him look like a pro-Castro guy? Like he's the perfect asset for a scapegoat for this. And you're going to rely on that guy out of that little window shooting at a target moving away from you.
Well, the
and
problem
not have
is,
contingencies in place, you know?
well, when you go and look at the window and you look at it from the ground level, it's a really hard shot.
Yeah, I mean that's just one of many problems with this. Nothing about this made sense, and everyone knows it. Like that's the magic bullet, the window, everything. I mean, those two things alone are enough to make you go, "Yeah, that's not what happened. Something else happened." Or there's at least more to it. It can't be just him and that happened. There's no way. And we just have confirmation, as I just showed, that the CIA, the Warren report, lied and covered up that the CIA has been handling Oswald apparently his entire life, since he was 15 and joined the Civil Air Patrol, and he was first targeted by David Ferry as a potential asset, as a recruitment tool. Like, it's not that he was anyone special. He was a useful idiot. They recruit people like this all the time that just follow orders and do what they're told for God and country and just plug them in as assets wherever they want. Let's set this guy up to be a Soviet agent. Oh, we'll maneuver him this way. Oh, he's a disaffected Soviet agent. We'll have him come back. You know, when he said, it's like when he realized he was being charged with the murder, he's like, I'm a patsy. I just this is bullshit. Like he just like it hit him. It's like, oh my God, like they set me up to look like a Soviet spy to come kill John. That was, I don't know. Anyway, that's what it looks like.
When they killed him before he could talk, too. Well,
yeah. I've gone a long time. Do you want me to stop there?
Well, we're almost at the 2 hour mark.
yeah.
There's one more piece here that's very interesting, and this goes back to the aerospace.
Yeah, okay. Go for it, man.
This is the trademark speech that John was supposed to speak at the trademark in Dallas, and he was supposed to get there around noon after the motorcade. That was his next destination. 2,000 attendees, Dallas business leaders, Dallas Citizens Council, Graduate Research Center at Southwest, kind of ubiquitous crowd, you know, hoity-toities, intellectuals, whatever.
Like those lung Republicans.
Yeah. So I'm going to read so this is a note written by Lloyd Berkner, which is going to require another show to talk about. It's too deep. It'll take way too long. But okay. Lloyd Berkner was a famous physicist and was pretty close to John and was very much involved with the whole space operation. It was a major influence to him, and he was a friend. So, to the faculty, staff, GRCSW, and SCAS, we are all stricken with grief by the events of the day of tragedy, November 22nd, 1963. That the president was here at the personal guest of our institution can only deepen our sense of mourning. The day started as a happy one with the clearing weather. Both the president and our now new president spoke to me warmly of our scientific and educational goals. President Kennedy was to have made a major national and international address at Dallas. His first words were to have been about the center and its place at the development of social fabric of our nation. I know you'd like to see that he planned to say, and I am conveying to you his never spoken words. I know that these tragic events will move us all deeply. will move all of us deeply, and that we will unconsciously redouble our efforts to build the intellectual qualifications of our institution and of our nation, about which our late president here as our guest was to speak so graciously. The crisis of events of our time will rally the support of the region around our objectives as never before. It's a very kind of, I don't know, you could read into it a little bit, but I think he's about to have a major national, international, he didn't have to say international. And this is the guy at the heart of Kennedy's space program talking. And he, on the record, was talking about, we really should work with the Russians on this project here. This is a little too dangerous. We're playing too many, like, the guys like LeMay and these people playing these war games out in the Caribbean and in Southeast Asia are insane, and they're going to get us all killed unless we start, working forward with our peers.
Yeah.
Which we're seeing a lot of the same patterns of that happening right now with Trump and the Russia problem. Why are they all so scared of Russia?
I don't know why. I mean, they haven't done really well. I mean, I was just watching a thing. On one of the channels I watched? The Abrams finally got some Abrams crews fully trained, and they were running through Ukraine and just wiping the ass of the Russians. Just like, it makes you wonder, in the hell did we ever think the Russians were that big of a threat? Other than the nukes, but I mean,
no, like geopolitically, the Russians are supposed to be our strategic allies. They didn't give us Alaska out of the kindness of their heart. This is a play against Europe, a long-term play. Europe is our old. So I'm going to stop this for a second. This is a good place to stop. There's way more to this, obviously, but Europe, who are we? We're Americans, right? What
Former
civilization?
Europeans.
What civilization would you say we are a part of? Is there a European civilization? There's a Roman civilization. Are we Romans?
well,
It
depends
depends
on
on how far back. Yeah.
Well, in how we speak, how we act, the way we think, the way our culture behaves. What's another civilization that's been around that they've been trying to get us to forget about? It's the English civilization. We're all speaking English right now.
the world.
Right.
Like they used to say, the sun never sets on the British Empire.
I'm talking about the English, not the British. British are a different entity. The English were taking over. The English peoples are still alive and well. The governmental system was hijacked in 1688. I think it was 1688. It was 1600 anyway, when they cut Charles the First head off, and that was Cromwell. And Cromwell did it because he was like, well, Charles is a dictator. He's trying to take over Parliament and take away. And Charles had married a Catholic, so he's like, this is the papacy running a play on England. We got to protect England from the papacy. So he was thinking, he was like, okay, this is Rome trying to take over the Angles, the Anglo-Saxon peoples. Because those guys viewed themselves as Anglicans, Anglo-Saxons at that point. But even before that, there was like a major war between the Saxon and the Angles, right?
Yeah.
Saxons coming from the south and basically Normandy, I think. And then the Angles were the people that were there a little bit earlier that basically conquered the British Isles, and then
Before the Anglo-Saxon.
Yeah, and then William the Conqueror consolidated the British Isles and forced everyone to speak English. He made it the common language. He instituted and then Alfred the Great, the Dooms of Alfred, instituted titles and property ownership of the lords of the land, and in very Nordic Viking tradition, because the Vikings were like biker gangs. They were like, yeah, you have a boss, but we're all equals. Like, don't disrespect me, or I'm going to not be able to respect you. It's like it was like a system of mutual respect, kind of like a war, kind of how you see warlord groups operate. If you're too much of a tyrant in the masculine sense, you just try to just dominate everyone. That's actually kind of how estrogenic thinking works. Just total domination. Testosterone tends to be more like, okay, I know I'm capable of violence, but I also know that you may be or he may be, so let's respect each other so we don't kill each other. And let's have some law and order. Testosterone actually downregulates for violence. Estrogen is when your emotionality takes precedence over your thinking and you just act out of impulse. And the Europeans tend to operate more through the estrogenic sense of thinking because that's a slave society at its core. Rome. The Angles are different because they were not necessarily a slave society. It was there were certainly like categories of certain people that were like craftsmen, villagers, whatever. But there was way more of an egalitarian system of people that had their own holdings and lordships that went to fight each other and learn to respect each other over time because they knew if you better finish what you started because if you don't, everyone will come and kill you. So it was kind of like the threat of violence actually created the peace. And that's where we get British common law, English common law.
Yeah, okay.
So we're a part of the English civilization. Who are the English? Who's their oldest enemy? The continentals of Europe. Basically Rome.
Yeah.
We're fighting the same war to this very day. The Americans, I would say, we are clearly a part of the English civilization. We are not Romans. We don't act like Romans. We don't talk like slaves. Some of us want to act like that, I guess, because some people want to be slaves.
There are people that are slaves.
But this didn't come from nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
That started a long time ago. And that just doesn't, you can't just make that go away. They want it to go away, and they basically, the Dutch, so
It always comes back to the Dutch in every conversation.
it goes back to Venice, which are the old families of the Roman Empire, went to Venice, became the mercantilists that operated the gold-silver arbitrage exchanges between the Silk Road in the east and the west, became the merchants of Venice, famous Shakespearean play about this.
Mm.
And it's the Medicis, the Borgias took over the papacy a long time ago. I mean, the papacy was literally an open bid election. It was done in private, so the public never knew about it. But the Catholic Church has been bought and sold. Like, you just buy bishop and cardinalships all the time. It was passed out like candy and favors. Like, it was just a political role.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the English were like, yeah, screw you. We're starting our own church. The king is now the head of the church, and we're not dealing with this crap anymore.
Yeah, okay.
So,
you get behind that.
Yeah.
Church of England.
At the time, I'd be all for it. I'd be like, yeah, screw them. Like, yeah, King James, let's go. Let's roll. Roll Tide.
You mean he's going to make his own Bible? I'm behind that. Let's go. Rock on.
But the old Bible, they've actually come, that King James Bible actually it seems to be, they came up with some papyrus that were pretty old, and it seems to be written in the original script or the original intent of the script. But who knows? Everyone's been fighting over which Bible's correct. But as far as I can tell, the King James Bible does seem to be the closest to the original.
That one's correct.
Yeah. But so who are we fighting today? Who's our real enemy? Are the Russians our enemy? The Russians are more like us than anything. They're a bunch of savage, like, Nordlings fighting kind of a similar upbringing that we have. It's a different civilization. But who's been their primary problem? It's been the Continentals. It's been the merchants bypassing and using them and constantly causing problems. The Bolsheviks came out of Europe. Trotsky was a German. Lenin came out of Germany. The Germans literally send them over the train full of gold to hijack the Russian system. They're the enemy they hate the most are the Europeans. Who do the Chinese hate the most? Who caused them hell?
The English.
Well, the English are hijacked by the Dutch banking system, and the Venetian bankers, once Venice collapsed, because Italy collapsed due to, I won't get into that right now, they migrated over to Amsterdam, another swamp.
Yeah.
And then they started the VOC, the Dutch East India Trading Company. And I mean, there's a bunch of families. This is like an oligarchy working. It's not one person you can point to. It's like, and it's not even one family. It's like an old system. But the interesting thing is the oldest families in the world are matrilineal. Matrilineal families can go back 900 years. Patrilineal families go back 250 tops before they get killed off or die out in some war or get their stuff stolen from them. The matrilineal lineages, these women at the top know how to maneuver through this system at the highest levels is what I'm talking about. And they have no problem. In fact, their strategy is effectively getting men worked up to go off and kill each other off for their own purposes, to protect their own family lineage. And we're still dealing with it. That's why it's literally naturally a part of the dichotomy between men and women's survival strategies from an evolutionary standpoint, like a survival mechanism based standpoint. That's what you would do if you were an unenlightened materialist savage. Manipulate, lie, cheat, steal, whatever it takes. And the Dutch fund a bunch of parliamentarians over to England, take over the parliament, start all kinds of problems. Cromwell, I think, realized what was happening a little too late after they killed Charles and was like, oh, crap, we're being invaded covertly. And now they're all the wolves are in the henhouse now, and I can't do anything. And then he disbanded Parliament. He's like, be gone with ye. And he ruled as kind of a dictator, protector of the realm.
Yeah.
And his son wasn't up to it. And then as soon as he died, Parliament came back in, and then that was the birth of the British Empire. That's when that started. That's when they became Great Britain.
I think we got off topic though.
No, that's literally a part of this story. This is a part of the great story. This literally ties to what we are dealing with
We
now.
could not have a conversation without talking about the Dutch.
Sorry.
It always comes back to the Dutch.
It's really the Romans. My point is we're dealing with the Romans.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the egregore of the Roman civilization to this day.
Dutch, which were bastards of the Romans, which the Kennedys, there you go. They were Irish.
It all ties together, man.
Bam.
Exactly. The Kennedys are Irish. When he went back to Ireland, he was greeted like a returning king. They were like, "We did it. We got our peoples back," or whatever. It was kind of. Anyway, it's late. Sorry. We should leave it on the Dutch.
The Dutch. All right, so we're gonna have to break this into several parts. Corey, next time don't talk so much, dude.
Sorry. You started this. You wanted to talk about JFK. Like, this was not my idea.
I just wanted to
Blame
bring
the
up my
chaplain.
whole idea.
I get it. Bold advisor. I see. No accountability for self. What's up with that?
Could have been giving us some advice not to call
Did
and
this
run
make
off.
sense? Or was I incoherent?
The last part when you started going off on the Dutch and the British, you lost me. The first part where you're connecting all the dots, bam, that was pretty cool.
I need visual aids for this, is what I'm learning. I can't just... We need pictures.
We have another week, my friend, to
Okay.
refine your technique. So
You want me to do a slideshow on the Dutch?
no,
Okay.
I can't.
I'll do whatever you want. I'll do more of this or less. I'm going to do more of this just for me.
Corey,
This is
what do
fun.
you think? Do we want to learn about the Dutch?
I don't know. You're always about going Dutch with people. So, I don't know. You're kind of into it. Yeah. Yeah, every time we sit
Well,
down at a
but
meal,
I
you're like,
do.
"Hey, let's do Dutch." I'm like, "What?"
No, it's just interesting because it's like they took over they're where because I always
My
wondered as a
favorite,
kid, where did
my
Britain come from? Where did
my
that name
favorite
Britain come
household
from?
designing cue, Dutch doors. There you go, Dutch doors.
Yeah.
And
All right.
if you really want to piss off your wife, do a Dutch oven.
Oh, yeah, sure. I don't mind if you do that. Yeah, we'll
We're
find you
picking on Colin.
on the
We're
newspaper.
picking
You
on.
know, yeah,
Yeah,
you'll be
no,
dead.
we got to leave Colin alone. That was actually pretty. The PowerPoint was pretty amazing. That was like, geez, this is like professional level grade stuff here, man.
Thank you.
I
Appreciate it.
really like that.
We're halfway through it, and that's not. And I got more to add, but that was pretty good.
Slide
Well, on that,
2001.
this son of a bitch over here went over there, and this is why we have aliens.
I don't think the aliens are a thing. I'll cut to the punchline. I think we've had a breakaway tech tree operating for about 100 years, and they're basically siphoning money off of us. And this is where the breakaway civilization thing comes from.
There you go.
So I think we're the aliens,
As we like to
and it's
say, that's
probably
a
the Dutch.
Dutch ovens, bastards in their ovens. All right, well, that was a good rabbit hole. So, what do you think? I am like overwhelmed with tech information.
Sorry.
Yeah, me too. There's a lot. And if you got this far,
Did it
you're probably
overall make sense though?
overload too. Yeah. And
Okay.
you
No,
did delineate that, you could do this road and that road with that person, but you're trying to follow one line,
Yeah.
which
which I
was
was very
Oswald.
impressed. I
Well,
thought it was interesting how he had all this upbringing of being an anti-communist. He was sided with the anti-communists. He had friends that were anti-communist. It's the perfect patsy.
exactly.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I mean, it's like, why would you go through a whole life time of all that work to become, he was a Patriot Marine. He did all this stuff. He was part of Civil Air Patrol. He was boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden he becomes a communist sympathizer that's trying to overthrow the United States for the communists. When, it just, yeah, makes you wonder what the hell even more. But
Can I can I
that's
can I show one little fast thing here? I forgot this is actually a good. This is real
I
fast.
guess so.
So this just came out. Mark Caputo wrote this last week. CIA admits shadowy officer monitored Roswell before JFK assassination. New records reveal. Actually, I think it was a few months ago or a month or two ago. No, last month. So this is wonderful news. Except we had that back in 1976.
New old news.
They just
Rediscovered
they can't.
old
They just
news.
have to recycle. Yeah, because they have to stick to their story. Legally, they have to stick to their story. If they mess around too much. The interesting thing with this is they name a different guy. The other one, the shadowy guy they're talking about here is George Joannides, which we had talked about today. This guy
Yeah,
is a guy named Godet, which is like, and this guy is so I need to make a
hardcore.
thing on him. It's very, but it's the same story basically.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're at our almost at our time limit. So, damn, I kind of want to figure out where this rabbit hole goes, man. But I'm tired. I got to get up at 04:45. So,
Yeah, let's go
but
to bed.
well, let's go to bed. Thank you all for watching down the rabbit hole. I wanted to thank Corey for being our stoic ombudsman that was
Quiet
sitting there
person.
taking this all in. With Colin, the heavily influenced talking person tonight. So I got some good shots in there in the beginning, man. I'm telling you right there. Yeah. So, all right, guys, thank you for watching, and stand by for the part 2 of Down the Rabbit Hole on JFK.
Part three.
Well, part 3, yeah. Yeah.
We are
So,
part
all
two
right,
right now.
guys. Yeah, this is part 2. I forgot the other one where me and you were going off on it. Cool. All right, there we go.